Hi guys, welcome back to 30 Days to Your First Website Design, a Touch Plus premium course. I'm Ian Yates and today we're going to talk about code editors. We'll begin as always by taking a quick look at what we're going to cover in this video. Well, we'll firstly look at what's needed in terms of the bare minimum of software. We'll then look at a few options, after which we'll take a look at our project so far. Lastly, as ever, once I've handed some further reading over to you, I'll set a small assignment. Now, when building a website, there are two things which you'll need as a bare minimum to get things going. You'll need a text editor to write your various bits of code in, and an FTP client, which is the program used to publish your files to the web server. That's it. You could therefore very easily use Notepad or text editor, depending on whether you're on a Mac or a PC, to write your files and then upload to your web space using, for example, FileZilla, a free and perfectly capable FTP client. I'll just drag that up for you now so you can see what I'm talking about. Here it is. This is FileZilla, and you'll notice here it has on the left side of the screen our local files. The activity will be shown in this window up at the top, and were it to be connected to a remote server, you would see the contents of the file and directory structure here. You'd then just have to literally drag and drop things left and right in order to move things from your local system to the web server. Now, there are plenty of FTP applications available, including Transmit here, another example, that's for the Mac. And there are also plugins for your browser, such as Fire FTP for Firefox. There we go, there's that one. And there are even fully blown apps available for the browser which take care of your editing, such as jsfiddle.net. You can edit in the various windows. Let's, for example, just give you a little look at what it does. We've got a little div in our HTML screen there, and we can add some CSS just to illustrate what's going on. There we go. And then we'll run that, and it appears in our rendering screen here. And you can also add JavaScript and various other bits and bobs there. Now, this is great for real-time experimenting. And there are also much more capable applications such as Code Anywhere. This is a service which requires subscription in order to have any real use, but this allows you to code, to edit, to FTP. It supplies file storage for you, and all online, so you don't even need anything on your own personal system. You can do it from wherever you are. Now we'll get rid of that. That's done and dusted. There are, of course, applications for your system, and you'll have undoubtedly heard of Dreamweaver. Some like TextMate for its simplicity. There's TextMate, very simple. And there are tons of others which I don't really have time to list. My choice is Coda for the Mac, and it deals with things much like many others, but I happen to like the interface. And there it is. It allows you to manage your projects locally. You can see the directory structure of our project, which is on my desktop, listed here in this structure tree. And it acts as an FTP client for uploading directly to the web once your editing is complete. And here you can see a remote copy of our files. Very straightforward. It also helps out with things like code hints, so it's great for that as well. Now, applications such as Coda are known as IDEs, or Integrated Development Environments, as they perform various functions for developing code-based projects. Now, I've made a start on our project. You remember we discussed the directory structure. That should look familiar to you. I've also prepared a background tile in our images folder here for our two textured areas. You can see that here. There's the dark version and the lighter version. Those are two PNG files. We have the sprite PNG. I'm going to drag this from my desktop and add that to our project here. And the images of our friendly staff. I'm going to drag those into the image folder as well. Now, anything that I do within within the interface of Coda itself, you'll notice it pays attention to. It's noticed that more files have been added to the directory structure, and it's marked them for publication. So having changed these, I can click Publish All or publish them all individually, and they'll shoot off straight to the web server. Fantastic, that's all dealt with. Of course, if we were saving and editing files directly in our folder through Finder or Windows, we'd have to take personal note of exactly what's been changed. So those are some additions. You'll notice, of course, that the HTML base document is looking a little more fleshed out. So let's just have a quick look at what we've added there. We'll begin with the head. Now this is the head of our document. I've added a title. That's new, I think. You'll notice I've also added two style sheets. We have our style CSS, which is in our our CSS folder in there. There it is. Now that's going to be where we do the body of our styling. We also have a reset CSS. There are various ways of adding a reset CSS if indeed you want to. This particular CSS file is hosted at Yahoo, and it serves perfectly to reset all the styles of any browser we're working in. So it basically means that your styles all begin from the same base, regardless of the browser. We have a favicon, which is a standard for any website. You can see Coda's using ours to highlight our website here. It's just a 20 by 20 pixel PNG file, whatever you like, be transparent as well, and we reference it here in the head in order to show it on our favorites or our bookmarks or in the browser as well, of course. Now lastly here, this is a conditional comment for Internet Explorer only. So this is basically saying, if you're looking at this website through Internet Explorer, I want you to pull in this script. Now this is a JavaScript, and it's known as the HTML5 shiv script, and it basically forces Internet Explorer to recognize HTML5 markup, such as this section, for example, the header, the nav. Those are all new semantic elements for HTML5, and earlier versions of Internet Explorer would have problems recognizing those. So this just deals with that. So that's our head. You'll notice I've built up, it looks more complicated than it is, a few sections. These are just literally sections. I'll tell you what, we'll jump into our PSD and I'll illustrate to you what those sections are. So we'll open up our PSD here. That was looking a bit messy, don't know what that was. Now we have our upper section here, our features, we have our contact section and our footer. So really what we're doing, I'm going to butcher our image here in order to illustrate what we're doing, is we are building from the top downwards in horizontal bands. We have the first band here, for example. We then have a second one here, a third one here. These are all going to be sections or divs or footer tags. The footer there. Now they're all fairly clear. I'm just going to make this slightly transparent so you can see through them. So those are going to be 4 clear sections in our markup. And we then have an additional wrapper within each one. So if I just highlight that by placing a wrapper there, and a wrapper there, and a wrapper there, and lastly on the footer, those are nested divs within our sections which are going to contain a load of other stuff. Now each of those wrappers is going to have a fixed width and is going to have an auto margin on each side in order to center it in the middle of our page. Each of those wrappers will also have padding top and bottom in order to just create a little bit of spacing on the top and the bottom of each area. So hopefully that's cleared up exactly what the markup means. If I bring it back up again, we can see, for example, we have our upper section. That's this one here, which is our intro. Now that contains our wrapper, which we just discussed. And there within the wrapper is the header, which has our logo and our primary navigation. Now at the moment, if we just preview that, the primary navigation hasn't been styled very much. It's just a list. We needed to, of course, if I go back to my PSD, have the primary navigation along the top right, like so. So we'll do that later on. You can also then see we have a section for our features where the team is, also one with a class of contact. That's the slightly darker area here, and a footer again with a wrapper div nested within it. Now we can take a look at the style CSS. We've firstly begun by declaring a few little bits of information just for our own administration, really, so we can remember when the file was edited, who's done it, what it's for, that sort of thing. That's always a good idea in your CSS files. We've begun with some basic styling with our HTML and our body elements, and then we covered the P elements, which is most of our body text, of course, the paragraphs, the font size, the line height, and a margin at the bottom of each paragraph. And we gave a color and some basic styling to our anchor tags. Now the structure has been sorted out quite significantly, as you can see, with the backgrounds and the wrapper, but it really didn't take an awful lot to do that. The wrapper, as we discussed, is a width of 860 pixels with a padding left and right of 50. That's incorrect. That should have been top and bottom of 50 pixels, like so, with a margin of nothing top and bottom, and auto left and right in order to center that within each section. These are our sections. We have the intro, which has the background of the subtle freckles.ping. We'll remind ourselves looks like this. And then the features team section, which again has the same background, and then our contact background, which has the darker ping. And there we go. Plus a subtle border on top. We can see that in the preview, not in the preview of the CSS, of course, in the preview of our index HTML. You can see that there's a subtle dark border on the very top of our contact area, and we can preview that directly in the browser as well, of course. So that's a good begin. It looks pretty solid, and we can now begin to start filling all the areas in order to start making it look more like our PSD. Once again, if I save the style CSS there, I can publish that very simply in Coda. Okay, now it's time for some further reading, I think. So if I just jump back into the presentation, and there we go. To help you make your mind up where code editors are concerned, check out Andrew Burgess's 18 Wonderful IDEs for Windows, Mac and Linux. He outlines all the main contenders and lists the fundamental pros and cons of each. Now before we jump into the next video, I have an assignment for you. Having chosen your IDE, open up the project so far from the download files. Familiarize yourself with what's been done, because next time we're going to start fleshing out more of the web page using our basis. Next time on 30 Days to Your First Website Design, we're going to continue our coding and look at the web standards model. I'm Ian Yates, and from all of us here at Tuts Plus, thanks for watching.